Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Thank you for joining us today. For the last two Sundays, we've had Dr. Bobby Jain here. He's a psychiatrist, a professor at the Texas Tech University Health Science Center School of Medicine, and he also is in practice with the Texas Tech physicians at the clinic in both Midland and Odessa. And we've been talking about a lot of the questions that you have called in for him after he's been on the program. He's been coming in and doing some programs about every 3 to 4 months. And it's such a pleasure to have him, and such a beneficial thing to have him to come in and give of his time so that we can begin to learn more about our mental health state. And the first time you came, Dr. Jain, was when we were right in the middle of National Mental Health Month. And I didn't even know we had National Mental Health Month, and so that was a good education start for me. But even though your specialty is child psychiatry, you have also done psychiatry across the board. And so we've had some other questions that were called in, like, for example, how does sleep affect your mental health? And so just talk about some of the things that we've had questions about.
So sleep is a very, very important concern regarding the association between sleep and emotional problem. First of all, thank you again for inviting me to this new program. I really enjoy talking to you folks, and particularly folks, your audience who have been giving us very important questions. Please do keep writing us and questions that you have for us to answer. So talking about sleep, it's very interesting to see that there's such a strong connection between sleep and emotional problems. In fact, one of the things that I ask first in patients when I'm trying to diagnose whether they have any emotional problem or they have something otherwise is to ask about sleep. And sleep is not a homogeneous single entity. It's a very complicated, very complex compound structure phenomena that is very fragile. We take it for granted, but it's extremely fragile and extremely important for our normal mental functioning. So depending on what kind of emotional problems you have, sleep can be disturbed in a lot of different ways. For example, people may have trouble going to sleep, or people may have trouble waking up in the middle of the night, not able to go to sleep, or they may wake up very early in the morning and not being able to go to sleep. Or other ways, they may sleep too much all along and still not feel very fresh and rejuvenated. So that can be a number of different combinations. I mean, each of the examples I gave you has a different meaning regarding emotional and mental health.
And so is there ever a time when somebody says, oh, I don't sleep a lot, but I don't think it affects me because I'm not tired the next day? Then that would be okay, because some people need less sleep?
Yeah, and that's a variation. And sleep, again, is some people, very extremely productive people, can sleep as little as 4 or 5 hours and be extremely productive all along. There have been a number of important figures. I've heard our ex-president, Mr. Bill Clinton, can sleep 4 hours a night, 24 hours, and still be functional rest of the day, and he can do it for weeks together. And some people have less requirement for sleep. It's just how you're built. It's very genetic. It's very inborn mechanism of sleep.
So you're taking the sleep and whatever else is going around and making your diagnosis.
Exactly.
And I had never thought about sleep being one of the most important things to look at.
Very important, extremely important.
Even with children.
Even with children. Even with children. In children, the sleep characteristics are different, but still it can be affected. You'll be surprised how much children sleep gets affected in children, particularly when they are struggling with emotional problems. Be it stressed out, be it work-related stress or school-related stress or any form of stressful situations, or they have different kind of emotional problems. So it definitely affects the sleep.
Well, you know, one of the things that when we were talking about childhood depression and suicide several months ago, it's so hard for me to think what in the world stresses a child at the age of 3. I mean, what do they have to be frustrated about?
Right. Well, actually, you're right in the sense that the earlier the onset of emotional concerns we see in a human being, the more genetic loading, as we call it, is present. So
the genetics play a bigger part.
The younger the child we have who is experiencing emotional problems, the more genetics say it is probably contributing to it. But stress is so relative. What is stressful for me may not be stressful for you. Even for children 3 or 4 years of age, as we look back into that stage of life and say, you got food available, you got toys to play, you take a nap time, you go to sleep, what can be stressful for you? But that's an adult view of life. For a 3 or 4 year old, having to wake up, having to do certain things, having to being told no to not put finger in the socket, for example, being denied those kind of things can be stressful.
Or just hearing their parents
or having
dysfunctional
home environment, be it inconsistency on parenting, inconsistency of being provided with certain things, they all can contribute.
That makes me think, though. Then moving up the ladder to teenagers, theirs is more environmental.
Again, yes, as we grow older and older, the say of the environment actually increases because we are exposed to more varied environment, but the role of genetics is always there. The earlier the onset of symptoms, as I said, the more genetic say it has. But even if you, most depression, for example, most bipolar example, tend to affect in later part of the 3rd decade or early part of the 4th decade. So it's just the balance where the combination of wrong genes along with stressful things, when combined, the bad things happening, is like the bad combination at the bad time. So if you are susceptibly genetic, if you're having a lot of things going on bad in your life, boom.
I've got a really important question to ask you after the break. We'll take a break and see you in just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.